Good evening, race fans. Welcome to Backfire Simsport TV and welcome to the Friday Night Frolic, which is the BSTV Clio UK Cup, brought to you tonight live from Rudskogen. I'm Clyde Whiting, and in the booth with me tonight is a wobbly Rudskogen Kneecaps. Good evening.
Good evening, Clyde. What? Yeah, this is gonna be lovely, Clyde. I drove this track when the Clios just turned on, appeared on iRacing. I drove this track against Jimmy Broadbent. That's also a pretty good video from him as well. And it's a hell of a fun. There's so many different lines you can take, and the racing was an absolute blast. You could go side by side for like the half the lap, and still nobody would turn out a winner. But there is one thing, and I think that most of the drivers they don't realize it at the start, but there's a way to overheat the tires in this track. If you turn in too hard on turn 3, and it's the long downhill right-hander. If you do that too severely every lap, then you're gonna overheat the tires, because that's what happened to me as well. And I'm curious to see what happens, even in the Clios.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna look forward how they're gonna manage that.
Yeah, it's a strange track, isn't it? I don't think I've ever raced in anger. I did do some laps in something when it first came out, but obviously I wasn't racing against anybody apart from the clock, and it doesn't give you a break, does it? I'm going to call it the second half of the lap is just action packed. But there are some good overtaking opportunities here. Whether that'll be the case with the Clio, I'm expecting it. I'm expecting a few, diving out from the middle of nowhere and having a go. And there's also, I felt there was at least a couple of corners where it felt like the track was off camber, and you felt like you could go around the track quicker than you actually could, and we know how loose these cars, these drivers like to race these cars. We see them, cocking back wheels and things like that because the suspension is so stiff. So I think there's potential for overtaking tonight, but there's also potential for mistakes.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Looking at the track, like the first corner is a really hard braking zone, and then you got the swooping right-hander, which I was talking about, and then you got the really weird zigzagging thing. Like, it isn't really a chicane, because it's like you carry so much speed through that, and if you take turn 4 too fast, then the chicane, you gotta be a driving chicane, to be honest, because everybody's gonna back up to you. So there's a really tight line between getting the car, getting enough speed, going up that hill, going through those semi-chicanes, and then you have the choice: are you gonna brake in like slightly to the left, or are you taking a white line? And like there's so many, and I think you're right with the off-camera. There's so many off-camera. There's downhill, uphill. To be honest, I'm happy this is the flyover track we chose, because this track is one of the most underrated tracks, and I am a firm believer that we should drive this one in TCR as well on Wednesdays, like next season. Champions pick, Sam Blees, hope you're listening.
Yeah, you're definitely right with turn 4, and we will go on board with somebody once we click over to qualifying. Like you say, it's not a chicane. It's a bit like I think my wife once said to me, "Oh, that looks like a hair grip." Now I haven't got any hair, so I have no idea what a hair grip is.
Yes, but yes, I have 2 daughters.
She's sort of right, but you carry too much speed round turn 4, and then it naturally throws you onto the wrong side of the track, and like you say, it makes that sort of elongated chicane really, really difficult. So qualifying session has started. We'll let the drivers get out on track whilst we go through what happened last time out, and then we'll do an onboard and see just how tricky it is. So, last time out, race 1 at Wobbly's favourite track, which is Donington. Another win for Johnny Brandon, with Simon Trendle in second and Adam Wright in third. And then race 2, Jamie Wilson got a win with teammate Simon Trendle in second and Wayne Sanderson in third. A little bit of an accident involving Stefan Goebel and Johnny Brandon, if I remember correctly. So, standings, this is what it's done to the standings. Johnny Brandon still with a massive lead, although we've seen before, a couple of bad races and that lead is gone. Simon Trendle sitting there in second and teammate Jamie Wilson in third. In the team standings, Team Chimera, obviously both drivers performing very well. They've got a massive lead in that, with XVR second and the first of the BSTV eSports in third. But the one that everybody wants to win, Simon Trendle, has got himself a point ahead of JB Dejoux, Darren Rayfield and Jamie Wilson. And then there's a host of drivers on 1 point. So that's what happened last time out. This time out, who knows? But let's pick a driver who's about to go over the start-finish line. And let's go on board with JB Dejoux.
Now looking at JB, going all the way to the right side, approaching the first corner, you want to brake slightly before the 100 meter mark. You want to cut this track all the way to the left, go over the AstroTurf, and if you go too far on the right on this corner, you get an off track, but there's also a pretty severe slowdown right there. But there is a way to cut that down. You get the power down and you move all the way to the left hand side, and then you're coming up to that swooping right hander which I was talking about earlier. So you want to keep it as wide as possible, carry all the speed you can, and you don't want to really hit the curb because it's going to send you off to the left. And JB is doing a lovely job of keeping it on the right hand side, which forces him to go to the right again and keeping up the speed on the left. You got both the chicanes, semi-chicanes, hairpin, which Clyde called it, and then you run a little bit wide. And this is a little bit too wide from JB. I think you're better off keeping it close and stick your left front on the curbstone, so you get the extra rotation. You're going downhill and you can brake quite late, like on the right hand side. You see this pole, that's your brake marker for that turn, and then you throttle it mid corner. You get all the way washed out to the left. There's a little curb you hit, which JB did perfectly, and then you got a really tight left hander right here. There's an off track on this left hand side, but there's also an off track on the right hand side, and there's also an off track going on the left hand side again. So it's all tenacious driving. You want to be as close as possible. As Clyde as possible. Why not? As Clyde as possible to the left hand side, and be a tidy, neat. And the runoff to the last corner, you build up the throttle on the right hand side of the curb, and you wash out to the left, and that's your lap. It's a menacing lap, Clyde.
Yeah, like I say, the second half of that lap is busy. You do get a little bit of a break on the start-finish straight, and then you go around that first right-hander, and you've got another smallish straight there. But after that, you know it's sweat time. But yeah, a good lap there from JB. Clean, as in good, not particularly fast, but that's 2 weeks on the trot we've gone on board with him, and he hasn't let us down, Wobbly.
No, that's great, because usually we get on board with someone and then he just mess it up into the wall and then it's off, and then he just just tow the car, get back to pit lane, and we got started all over again. But yeah, it's not a particularly fast lap which JB did, but then again, it was a good lap to show where the lines are. And we're now looking at this is Johnny Brandon, I assume.
It is, yes.
Yeah, so and you can see the different approach in this corner, which JB made a little bit mistake. He went out to the right hand side a little bit too far, and as I mentioned in that lap for JB, you want to keep it close to the curb. You see Johnny doing that. With doing so, you at least gain like 0.7 of a second just by being as close as possible to the left-hand side and take the shortest line possible through that corner.
Yeah, and as you quite rightly said, there are a lot of off tracks on this track, and the drivers, even though it's only a 20-minute race, they've only got 15 incident points to play with. So it could be we could get to that tactical incident point thing, Wobbly, where drivers are in double figures and then all of a sudden they start sticking to the track limits so that they don't get a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, definitely. I think that this track lends itself for abusing the track limits. But then again, how is it worth it? And that's the big question you have for all the drivers. Sometimes it's worth getting one off track if that means you're getting in a half a second. Maybe you're able to break the toe, get the points in which you probably couldn't otherwise. And this is a very wide line from Sir Valentine. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we would see a penalty for, let's say, an Adam Wright, because he likes to abuse track limits.
He certainly does, yeah. Just going to jump on board with Wayne Sanderson just to show the viewers at home. He's going to bin it, isn't he?
One question. Yeah, one question, by the way, Clyde. Can you... apparently my mic is quite loud compared to yours on the stream. So can you...
I did turn you down a touch, but I will turn you down a little bit more. And
yeah, I'll move my mic back as well. So
what happens there? Yeah, I missed that then. So let's get here with Stefan. I don't know if we can see it from inside the car, but this is quite a climb up the hill, isn't it? All the way through this hair grip.
Yeah, through this, let's call it the hair grip the whole night. And this is what it is. Like, you mess up turn 4, and it's gonna suffer you because it's quite steep there. And don't ask me why I know this. It's like the climb is 7% from that particular bit. And again, don't ask me why I know this. I read this somewhere and I just remember things. It's 7% from that bit. So 7% for like about 300-400 meters. And that's a pretty severe climb, Clyde. If you would be on a bicycle, you'll be, well, cursing when you're up that hill.
Yeah, to be honest, mate, I'd get a taxi up there. I wouldn't bother walking, running, cycling, anything that involves any sort of physical exertion apart from opening a car door. So, but yeah, it's, you know, it is one of those. It's another thing that drivers have to contend with, isn't it? Not just going left and going right, but going up and going down, and how that affects your braking and how it affects your acceleration, and you know, even in I'm going to call this a low horsepower car, but it's still fairly quick for what it is, but. You know, a braking zone, a downhill braking zone, for instance, is totally different to an uphill braking zone. And then throw into the fact that you're braking and turning in a front-wheel drive car and trying to work out whether you're going uphill, downhill, spinning round in circles. You know, even the practice laps that I ran here, and I'm still racking my brains as to what car it was. I think it may have been the Porsche GT4. It's a challenge. There's no two ways about it. And to be honest, most of the tracks that we've been to in this series have been a challenge. So, you know, maybe the drivers are getting used to it. I'm not sure.
Maybe. It all depends on whether they are comfortable with the car or not. And I think that we've reached a point in the season where everybody understands how the car drives, and everybody understands how to lock the tires. But I wanna point out one specific thing, Clyde. We are missing an important driver who locks up the brakes more often than everyone else.
Yes.
And It bears to say me, but it's the guy who I actually gave a driver of the meeting. But I think we can detract that number from his stats just because he had to go to the dentist, and now apparently he's lying on his couch, um, being a fetus, and that just pains to say me that my favorite driver, who sends it off to Donington every lap and every race, besides from last week, is not here, and that's Pete Bingham.
Yeah.
I think that's a sad thing.
Although I would suspect that the 10 drivers that we have got on the grid are looking at the absence of Peter Bingham and hoping and praying that he doesn't join before the qualifying session ends, because at least they know they'll be a little bit safer tonight.
It is definitely a little bit safer. Yeah, we have nothing but love for Pete, except when he's on track or with us.
Yeah. The only time you're not laughing with Pete is when you're side by side or he's behind you. Now that could be half a lap behind you, because if he misses the corner, he's just taking everybody out anyway. But he's not here, so I think these drivers will feel a lot safer in their cars tonight. Johnny Brandon is currently your provisional pole sitter. He has done a 1:33.2. Sam Blees in the Peas and Sweet Corn car for Bumfluff Racing. He's up there in second with a 33.4, and Wayne Sanderson currently third with a 1:33.6. But we've still got 3 minutes left, so there is time to do a lap, or if you're on an out lap now, there's still time to get a lap in. Don't forget, because it's iRacing Heat Racing, as soon as the checker comes out at the end of the session, that's it. There is no finishing the lap that you're on. That will be the grid. And for the viewers, anybody out there that hasn't watched this before, 2 20-minute races. Race 1 grid is decided by this qualifying session, and race 2 grid is decided by the finishing order with a reverse top 8. That's always a little bit of fun.
Yeah, and as you went through the times, I just suddenly noticed that Simon Trendle is not where I expected him to be. He's on 4th position, and he's 4/10 off Johnny.
Yeah, and Jamie Wilson down in 7th as well. Now, we see the gap that those two for Team Chimera had in the team championship. Now, qualifying isn't everything, but you're right, you expect to see both of them a bit further up. But to be honest, that, again, there's only 10 drivers, but the class of driver on the track is phenomenal. So, there's no gimmies in this series. We're already planning season 2. We expect that we're going to get at least a few more drivers in. And hopefully these drivers that are putting on this show week in, week out at the moment all come back for season 2. But let's see. Like I say, qualifying isn't everything, and I expect there to be overtaking opportunities at this track.
Definitely. There's ways to send the car, and turn 3 and 4 are and turn 3 and 4 and oh man, turn 10. That's the one. That switches the downhill one. Those are the opportunities where you're looking for. 3, you can take a completely different line, stuck it on the inside, and just see what happens. The car if you stuck it on the inside, the car on the left side needs to take a completely different approach to the hairpin, to the I forgot what it's called. What did you say again? What it's called?
Hair grip.
Hair grip. Thanks. Through the hair grip, and you're gonna suffer there. But then again, you're gonna suffer if you take a too shallow approach on that turn 4 again, and that's gonna be very interesting. And turn 10, that's where I did the most of my overtakes in that week 13 lap, a race I did, and it's lovely. You can just send it down the inside and see what happens. Go side by side at the end, and the qualifying is over, Clyde.
It certainly is. So let me see if I can get this grid up. God, I'm getting good at this. Right, so whilst Wobbly sets the grid set for us, let's go through your 10 drivers that are taking part in race 1. Johnny Brandon gets pole position for XVR. Sam Blee second for Bumfluff Racing. Third is Wayne Sanderson for XVR Oz. Fourth is Simon Trendle, Team Chimera. Jamie Wilson got himself up to 5th for Team Chimera, so watch out for the blue on blues. Rob Venn is 6th, BSTV Esports. Stefan Goebel, VTS Esports in 7th. 8th is JB Dejoux for BSTV Esports. 9th, what is Adam Wright doing down there? BSTV Esports 2. And Privateer Alan Toon goes off in 10th position. So let's see, what are we going to look at for this start? I'm not too keen on that one, don't like that one. I think we might stick with this one. How bad is Chopper? Not too bad. Not too bad, actually. We might have to use Chopper tonight at some point.
Just not the whole night.
Just not all night, no, that's correct. Evening
Good evening to
old man.
yes. You just beat me.
I'm sure
Good
he's
evening
going to
to
be
Lane.
cheering his teammates on. So
It seems that most cars are gridded with Sam Lees, and we know that Sam is an aggressive driver, especially on. He calmed down a little bit the last couple of seasons, but he's still an aggressive overtaker, just like Spencer McCarthy is in TCR. And I think that's a good thing. He pressures you, and that's good for Johnny to have someone behind him who's willing to take the risk, just for entertainment's sake.
Yeah, I think the key for Sam's race here is making sure, worst case, he stays second. He really doesn't want Wayne Sanderson beating him off the line and then having 2 XVR cars to get past. And he will also have 2 Chimera cars behind him. Lights are coming on. Wobbly, over to you.
Yeah, lights are coming on. Looking forward to the start. And Sam had a really good blast, just same as Wayne Sanderson, but he seems to be falling off in the second phase now. And it looks like Sam almost is able to get to the right-hand side. If he's gonna able to go to the right-hand side, he's gonna be in a favorable line. And Johnny cuts him off quite severely. And you see the 2 Chimera cars driving back to back. And now Wayne Sanderson is on the left-hand side on the bad side, where Simon Trendle stuck it down to the inside and is already overtaking him. And you see Johnny going super wide on turn 2. It's like, I don't care about grass. And it's Sam sent it down, and I think that Johnny might have a slowdown if I see how he let Sam pass. And now it's almost close, and then you see Rob Fenn in the wreck just sliding over his wheels, getting through the corner, and all the way at the back you see Stefan and JB tussling it out, going through the chicane. JB on the right hand side, and now Stefan going on the preferable line on the inside, and it's amazing. And now it's Adam just sticking his nose in as well. At the front it seems to be settled down a little bit, but I'm really curious about the back.
Yeah, I think the back has settled itself down a little bit, so let's get back up here, because this is where the action has been all season. It's been well, there's been action throughout the grid, but there's been amazing action up the front. I'm not sure whether Johnny did get a slowdown or maybe just lost momentum because he was on the grass. I'm sure he'll let us know in the interviews at the end of the evening, but either way, he lost first position, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars in this lead pack.
Oh yeah, I think that you're right about the slowdown. It looked like he had a slowdown because now Sam is gonna have a slowdown, I'm sure, and he's parking the apex. Is he having the slowdown? Is he gonna go to the right and move over to let Johnny pass? And it seems that he got away with it. That's amazing. Then they must have changed that.
He either got away with it or he served it very, very well.
No, you can't, because it's like a 3-second slowdown.
Yeah, but he started it off well, didn't he? By, like you say, parking it on the apex.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised that Sam got through Johnny as he did. Maybe Johnny is being like the Max Verstappen of this season and thinking, well, I'm the quickest anyway. I'm gonna win this race. I don't care about whatever Sam does. I just need to end up in front of Simon Trendle.
Well, yeah, Sam is locking up quite a lot, and again parking it on the apex, which is giving Simon Trendle a very big sniff of the back of Johnny Brandon's car. I nearly said a really big sniff of Johnny Brandon's rear end. Then I just said it aloud. That's a different channel that we do. But yeah, this is interesting already, because we've seen previous races where Simon Trendle has got into the lead and Johnny Brandon hasn't panicked, has he? He's always there or thereabouts for an overtake. So I think at the moment Sam Blease is the driver that's feeling all the pressure. Johnny Brandon is just waiting for a mistake, and Simon Trendle is hoping that Sam carries on parking it on the apex to keep him in with a shout of getting past Johnny. Oh, Wayne Sanderson!
I think he kept it though. He's just a little bit wide. Yeah, he's back on track. Yeah, and going through turn 3 and 4, you can see the different approach between Johnny and Sam, where Sam's entry is quite shallow compared to Johnny's, where Johnny's going all the way wide and Sam is cutting off the corner a little bit. Might be a defensive line because he's getting pressured, but then again, it's just a different approach of the corner. I've seen cars go wide and getting a better exit. I've seen cars go shallow and getting a good exit. And it's quite. Let's see how it turns out and how it's going to end up on the semi-long run. It's still a sprint race, but as I mentioned instantly, there's a chance you're gonna overheat the tires if you're taking that corner at the wrong angle.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that happens. Let's just. Oh, Johnny's a bit close. I was going to just go back and have a look at that off track for Johnny on lap 1. Let's just have a quick look. I think it was just cold tyres. Not sure he had a moment. I think the car just washed out on him.
Yeah, so this is like a...
no.
That
was like he was concentrating on something else.
Almost looked like
it was on the straight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it almost looked like his game froze for a slight half a second and just suddenly went to the left.
Yeah, very strange. But whatever it was, he managed to catch it.
Yeah, and he's still in front of his rival Simon Trendle.
So evening to Aerox on the chat. I don't know who Aerox is. I don't know if he's a regular BSTV driver, but welcome anyway.
I don't know. If I look at the current situation between Sam, Johnny, and Simon, I feel like Simon is slightly falling off the back of those two. He's still really close, don't get me wrong. But if I look at the way those other two drivers, Sam and Johnny, are driving, it almost seems like he's lacking the speed in the first sector.
Yeah, you could be right. I'll tell you what I'm noticing at the moment. So I think Stefan Goebel is crawling very slowly towards Rob Venn.
I was looking at iRacing itself and seeing how, again, you see Sam taking that shadow line, which I was talking about. Like, it's different. Johnny's wider here, and he's carrying way more speed going uphill. But there's no chance you can overtake in this one. So I think that Sam is doing a proper job in driving a defending line, and still keeping up enough momentum to at least stay in front of Johnny. But it forces Simon all the way back on the bumper of Johnny.
Yeah, whatever Sam is doing is, like you say, it's keeping Simon Trendle interested in this battle. And I suppose what Sam is hoping that Simon and Johnny start going side by side, and he can at least get a little bit of breathing space, and try and. I was going to say try for a better line, but that might actually be his line. That might be how he's been running this track. You just don't know. It doesn't look full on defensive, does it? It just looks like that's his natural line.
Yeah, it looks slightly defensive, but not like severely. Like he's like, oh well, normally I'll take it like at a certain angle, and I'm like 2 degrees off, which forces Johnny to think about, oh well, I have to take the wide line and get a better exit, but I know that I can get away with it because I'm not really sacrificing that corner, but slightly, just enough to keep him behind.
Yeah, and Jamie Wilson is dropping off the back of this battle as well, so he wants at least 2 of those front 3 to get side by side, so he can get back in. And then we've got Wayne Sanderson, who had a little bit of an off track. Wasn't anything too serious. It didn't register on the event tracker, so it wasn't that bad.
Simon went a little bit wide on turn 8. And you can definitely instantly tell, oh, this is gonna be a small Sam, but Sam is just having none of it, but he forced Sam into a mistake, and now they're going to go side by side, going up towards turn 11 and 12. So Johnny's gonna try to take the inside, but Sam is gonna cut him off. Is Simon? Oh, Simon made a small mistake. He could have capitalized on that one, and that's really unfortunate because he thought about taking the crossback and just completely approached the corner probably in a different way than he usually did.
Okay, this is Rob Venn is caught back up to Wayne Sanderson as well, so this is turning into a hot battle. And there you can see Stefan Goebel in the background. I'll keep an eye on the front battle because obviously this is for the lead, but if anything happens behind, we'll quickly flick over to it.
Did something happen in the beginning with Sir Alan Toon? Because he's not been that slow, but he's way off the pack at the moment. So I'm thinking that he probably had a spin or something.
Yeah, well, I've not got anything showing on the event tracker, so I say I've said it before. Alan just really enjoys driving this car. He's not really that worried where he is. He just enjoys driving it.
Yeah, and I think that Sam is proving to all the drivers that, yeah, well, if Sam is gonna win this one, let's pretend Sam is gonna win this one, and he's gonna come in for an interview. I think we have one question: did you practice? If he didn't, that's a message to all the drivers in the league. Like, there's a way to drive this car. Just turn up and get at the front, you know.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that anybody's doing any serious practice in this league. They're using the half an hour practice session to do what they need to do, which is what we designed the series for. It's an arrive and drive series. It's a fun little car. There's not a massive amount that you can change with the setups, and at the end of the day, most of it comes down to probably 50% talent and 50% luck.
Yeah, and if I look at, I see Aerox come on, Sam is fast today, and he definitely is, because currently he's holding the fastest time of a 1:33.388 compared to Johnny, who did obviously a 1:33.456. And behind him, Simon Trendle did a faster lap than Johnny. So it seems like all of them are quite similar on pace. But if I look at this objectively, I think that Johnny has the overall pace compared to Simon and Sam. And right behind them, you see Jamie is trying to keep up with them, and he's pushing the car every turn, and he's trying to get a little bit further back to them, just braking a little bit later, getting on the throttle a little bit earlier, and he's forcing the issue, and I think that it's causing him to fall off the pack rather than keeping up with them.
Yeah, and I think looking at Simon, he is proper throwing that car about. I remember you saying in the practice, about these cars overheating their tyres. I'm wondering if we've got a little bit of that. Let's go on board with Johnny.
Yeah, usually I don't have a clue what I'm talking about, but this week I have.
In fact, let's not go on board with Johnny. Let's go on Johnny's nose. And it is quite a big nose, and we could all fit on it, so it's not an issue.
But one big question again: is he gonna get a free lunch if he wins the race?
Well, yeah, we'll have to remember to ask him.
Oh wow, you see Sam is going a little bit wider this time around. And you see, this is what I'm talking about. He went a little bit wider and you see him pulling away on the exit. It's a lovely slight balance. If you hit your brake mark perfectly or either you don't, and it's gonna cost you a lot going uphill.
Yeah,
and he seems to be a little bit further back.
Yeah, I think Sam has possibly. I was going to say I've not seen him lock his brakes up, but then he locks his brakes up, as is the way.
Yeah, maybe it might be like because of the suspension in the Clio, which is so stiff. We always talking about how they lock up their brakes, but it might be that they come after brakes, and that it's just the left front scraping over the tarmac, rather than them locking their brakes. I don't think they're locking them. It's always on the apex of the corner, which is always basically the place where you start the throttle again, and maybe it's just like just lifting up the left front.
Yeah, to be honest, you could be entirely right there. It's interesting that you get more of it from Sam, though, isn't it, than you do from anybody else?
Definitely. It might be just the apex speed which he takes that corner. But you see, Johnny is again quite near and quite going for the bumper of Sam, which is he's way closer. But then again, you see Sam just pulling away slightly on that exit. But now it seems that Johnny have a really good entry on that chicane. Is he able to to capitalize on that? On turn 10, is he able to stick it down the inside, go for a big send and get the win in the end? Because he's so super close right now. There must be a chance to do it. And he's sticking his nose in there, and Sam is having none of it. And he's almost up his rear, just slightly touching. There's got to be a zero contact right there. The camera is all the way up in Johnny's front bumper. And now Johnny's going to try and get to the inside, but there's no chance of having that. Sam locks up, and we assume there's a lock up. So Johnny going on the left side. Oh, and they're going side by side, and you might be able to get a better corner for Johnny on that one, because he's going to have the preferable line on the exit, but he has to tuck in again, and I think that Sam has enough exit speed to keep this up.
Yeah, Sam did really well then on gluing himself to that apex. I think Johnny was after the crossover there, but it didn't quite come off.
Oh, that was amazing driving by the both of them. Sam definitely felt the hot breath of Johnny. Is feeling the hot breath of Johnny in his rear.
This is how hot it is, to be honest.
Yeah, and Alex on the chat mentioning that Simon seems to be lacking a little bit of pace. Yeah, we noticed that as well in the qualifying. And it's Johnny's taking on the inside. Oh, that was almost death. That was almost a murder we witnessed there.
Yeah, and then I think that was in exactly the same place as last time. Just before going into the hair grip.
No, that was turn 10. At least, that's where we are on the camera with the rear bumper from Sam. But it's so hard to overtake on this track. Just to get enough speed, and you have to have the car in front of you making a mistake, and you being able to take advantage of that mistake, because you see a car, and if you're driving behind them for a certain amount of laps, you start to copy their lines, you start to copy what they're doing, you start to copy their brake markers, and that's especially hard when a car is on a kind of similar pace to you. Then you're gonna actually just lose lap time just because you're following someone. And not because they are slow, but just because you are gonna copy them, and it's nothing to do with a mindset. It's just something which just happens. Wow, who's a little bit wide, and ooh, that's gonna cost him a little bit. Well, and it's just something that happens with like, I don't know, your soul or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, so this is where Johnny tends to carry more speed, although he's not got up the inside of him this time. But that's definitely where he's planning his attack. Rob Venn did manage to get past Wayne Sanderson. Let's have a quick look at that.
This might be the last lap, by the way. This might be the last lap.
Mistake written all over it. Yeah, there you go. That was easy. Easy peasy.
Yeah, so I think this is the last lap, and we didn't see...
Yeah, I think they're about to start the last lap.
Oh, and Johnny is putting all kinds of pressure on Sam. This is... Being Sam, it's sweaty out there. That's the white flag on the left hand side. I saw Barney waving his flag.
Oh, he's back then. He's back from his holiday.
Yeah, I mean, it's August. You can't blame him.
So, like I say, now this is where Johnny. Is it that wide line that's doing it for him? But this is. There's a right kink and then a right hand, and this is where Johnny gets all the speed on Sam. Just here. Could be the braking.
Yeah, I still think that Sam overheated his tires slightly in the beginning, because now, the last couple of laps, you saw Sam taking a wider approach as well. And he wasn't doing that the first 3, 4, 5 laps, which maybe cost him. Oh, and he's going wide on this one again, but he's getting a better run out of that one. So if there's one chance for Johnny to do it, it's got to be right here, right now. Otherwise, I don't see him overtaking Sam. Oh, and that's what Johnny thought as well.
yeah, he had a look at throwing it in, didn't he? But quite wisely backed out of that one.
There was no room there. I think that it's a... Oh, that cost him 1x, by the way. But I think that's a good thing. Just forcing it, just trying to... Oh, and a last-ditch attempt from Johnny, going side by side in the last corner, and who's going to get the better run?
It's going to be a drag race.
It's going to be a drag race to the end. You see Johnny coming in. I think Johnny has more exit speed than Sam, but I think Sam is going to get away with it. And it looks to me like Sam got the win.
It was definitely Sam by 4/100ths of a second.
Third position for Simon Trendo, who also did an amazing job, made one small mistake, and ended up right like on a small gap. Fourth position was for Jamie Wilson, and fifth coming in Robert Van. Wayne Sanderson, we saw him making a small mistake, and Rob Van passing him on the first corner. So we're sixth position for Wayne Sanderson. Seventh, Stefan Goebel. JB Dejoux, who did an amazing job because he beat Adam, who shows who the real boss is. America! And on ninth position. And Sir Alan Toon still driving around, which is amazing because I like people who keep on driving. I'm not one of those people, but Sir Alan is, and that is just really cool to see. Although there's nothing to gain for him at the current pace he has in this specific race, he's still out there doing his thing, enjoying the track and enjoying the car. Absolutely lovely. Let's give a shout out to Sir Alan.
Yeah, he did actually have a slight issue on, I think it was the previous lap. It's coming up as a crash, but I'm not quite sure it was an actual crash. But let's have a look, as we do have a look at these things, or let's not have a look, because that's the session clicked over. So the drivers go into a warm-up session. So let's see if we can get some results up. There we go. So Round 15, which is race 1, winner Sam Blees for Bumfluff Racing. Held off second place Johnny Brandon all the way, XVR. Third, Simon Trendle. And sound staff, it's 1.4 seconds behind, but that's quite a distance in this car. Team Chimera and teammate Jamie Wilson in 4th. Rob Venn was 5th. We saw that pass on Wayne Sanderson for BSTV Esports. XVR Oz Wayne Sanderson in 6th. Stefan Goebel in 7th for BTS Esports. BSTV Esports JB Dejoux in 8th. BSTV Esports 2 Adam Wright in 9th. And Privateer Alan Toon in 10th. So, Wobbly, a lot going on in that race. Sam Blees, I'm not sure he was wholly defensive, but probably driving that line that made it near on impossible for Johnny Brandon to get past. Although we did see Johnny try and get past at various different points at the track. And then I'm going to say a disappointing third for Simon Trendle because he wasn't really in that fight much. What do you think?
I completely agree with you. I think that we had an action-packed, although we saw few overtakes, we had an action-packed race because there was a lot of pressure, especially until the 15-minute mark, from Simon Trendle to Johnny, from Johnny to Sam. And Johnny definitely went for it at the end. He tried to get every gap possible. And overall, it was good racing. I like good racing. I don't mind some bumpers hitting each other. I don't mind some paint just trading with the other car. That's just all part of the cars, or like touring car-ish cars. And it was a lovely race. Further back, at the beginning, we saw a good fight between Adam and JB, and it ended up that JB beat Adam. And now with the reverse top 8, we got JB Dejoux on the top spot, and he didn't seem that slow, to be honest. He seemed like that he might be able to get like P5 in this race. It's gonna be amazing.
It certainly will. But with the drivers in the practice session, it's time for me and Wobbly to go and refill our glasses. So we should play you a couple of videos of what else we do on BSTV. So, welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed our little taster of what else we do on BSTV. Big thanks to Adam Wright for sorting those videos out for us. Much appreciated. But now, Wobbly, it's round 16 and the reverse grid race from Rudskogen.
Oh yeah, Rudskogen Motorcenter. So that's great. Now I think that we both of us, we like the first race, we always do, but we prefer the second race, and that's just because it's action packed. People have got to get through the field safely in a way they don't disturb others. The others are driving the race as well. There might be cars like, for example, as I said, JB on pole position. He's gonna do an amazing job. I'm hell sure of it, because he showed tremendous pace during that first race. He was only like 6 seconds off the top runners, so that means that he's gonna be hard to overtake. It's gonna be great. I don't know why we watch Formula One. We gotta watch this one.
You certainly have, but it's time to get this race underway. So I'll let you do the grid set, and I will press buttons and see if I can get our starting grid up. I've done it again. I'm just amazing. So your pole position man, JB Dejoux for BSTV Esports. Going off second, Stefan Goebel for VTS Esports. Third is Wayne Sanderson for XVR Oz. Fourth is Rob Venn for BSTV Esports. Jamie Wilson goes off fifth for Team Chimera, with teammate Simon Trendle going off sixth. Johnny Brandon, XVR, goes off seventh, and race one winner, Sam Blees for Bumpluff Racing, in eighth. Ninth is Adam Wright for BSTV Esports 2, and Privateer Alan Toon goes off 10th. Right, let's get rid of that. Let's have a look at... I have no idea. We need some people on the grid so I can see what I'm doing.
Oh well, at least we got a nice poll to watch there.
There we go. Let's do it that way. And let's have a look. That's better. That's better!
Yeah, looking at this grid with JB and Stefan, I think that's gonna be feisty through the first corner. That's gonna be a sprint, and I don't say they don't like each other, but they have incidents with each other.
They have, haven't they? And you know, no disrespect to JB, but Stefan Goebel is going to fancy himself to get into first place, and then
Definitely
Wayne Sanderson is going to fancy himself to get by both of them. Rob Venn knows that he can overtake Wayne, although Wayne did make a mistake for that to happen. And then you've got the rest of the grid to try and work their way through as well. And it's a 20-minute race. You need to be patient, but you need to be in a hurry. You need to do it safely. Let's see what happens. Lights are coming on, Wobbly. Over to you.
Lights are coming on. Checking. Oh, and JB had an amazing stop. But Wayne Sanderson is already right up next to Stefan Goebel. Is he going to be able to take this one? Because it seems that Wayne is going to be on the preferable line. All side by side. It's almost 4 wide all the way in the back. And somehow Stefan is able to... Oh, and it looks like a slight touch on the rear of JB. And is he able to save it? He's still out there. And I think that Stefan actually backed off a little bit to give him some leash there. Wayne Sanderson trying in the bumper. Rob Fenn on the left-hand side is like, I'm having none of this. I'm going through. I want these positions. And you see, oh, and it's Stefan going out the quickest. Oh. On the inside, 3 wide, and that's a car hitting the barrier. And almost hitting Adam, right? Well, Johnny Brandon's got hit side by side through the chicane, and now they all tucked into a one-line file. Whoo! Well, again, that start, Clyde.
There's 10 cars on this track, and we was 13 wide at one point.
Oh, even more. That was really good racing right from the get-go. I can't even...
It hasn't even stopped yet, so...
They're still going, and we forgot to mention Sam Blees in the order, because he's already up, and on 4th position.
Yeah, JB is getting swamped at the moment.
I think that is all to do with you getting a hit on that first corner, and then you're pretty much gonna get freight train. Sorry. Everybody's just on a better line than you are. And you're just trying to compensate for everything. One question, Clive, by the way, just one small question. Can you restart your stream on Discord?
I most certainly can.
That would be great because I basically see pixels. I did that with 3 pixels, people. So I give me some gratitude. This is better. Okay. Still at the front, you see Stefan Gobo, Wayne Sanderson, which had an amazing start, had a really good job, but somebody's outbreaking himself, and that's Wayne Sanderson.
Wayne,
and Sam took the opportunity of sawing that the inside of Simon. Small hit on that one without hitting anything, and now you see Simon going side by side with Stefan. Sam going through as well. Wayne is having none of it. It's going on the right hand side, thinking like, oh, and now Jamie Wilson is right on the inside of Wayne. And that small mistake cost him 3 positions.
I did warn people on the chat this was going to be a classic. Something has happened to Rob Venn. Let's have a look at that. And there could be an Adam Wright involved, or it could be a totally separate incident.
Oh, that's
no, definitely involved.
That's
not really Adam's fault. There wasn't anywhere he could go there.
It's always Adam's fault.
So, Sam Blees is in a Chimera sandwich. Johnny Brandon is all of a sudden back up to 4th. Let's go back and see what happened to Johnny, because it was in the background on lap 1.
Yeah, I think that he got a small hit.
This is where we were 13 wide.
He got into the inside.
Oh no, he lost it on his own.
On the braking.
Yeah.
And I think he's lucky because the cars are quite sturdy. I don't think he had any damage with that. I think he got away with that.
I think you're right. Yeah, most definitely.
It's not like a GT car which has carbon fiber all over it. It's a car, and it's still light. But the outsides are still, I think, still iron or something, because I remember a situation where I crashed on Monza, head on, and I just backed out, kept on going, and then I wanted to see how much damage I had. Had none, nothing. But I went into the wall with 160 kilometers an hour.
What car was you in?
Yeah, Clio.
Oh, there you go.
JB is driving all defensive lines there, just to keep Wayne Sanderson.
It's all over now. It's all over now.
Oh, I think that and JB knows that I'm telling this. Get your elbows out, mate. And this is him getting his elbows out, getting it wrong, but still learning from the experience. Like, oh, this is not the way to do it, but still get his elbows out.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That's all part of the learning curve. And he will take that into the next race and the next race and the next race. And last time I defended, I did this and it went wrong, so I'm not going to do that again. So I'm going to try something else. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. So Johnny Brandon is back up to 4th, and he's now going to put some pressure on to Jamie Wilson. But these short 20-minute sprint races, it's going to be a long shot for Johnny to win this, but Sam Blees, Simon Trendle, they get together. This is going to bring all of these back in contention.
Yes, right on, Clyde. If Johnny is able to pass Jamie within the next 3 laps, he's gonna be contending for the win. But I guarantee you that Simon is gonna be on their chat screaming, "Defend like a lion, defend like Perez did on Dubai. On Abu Dhabi." He's gonna be screaming at Fumias, "Keep him behind you, whatever you do. Don't let him through." That's gotta be the message he's gonna be sending to Jamie right now.
Yeah, it's they're almost pairing up here. Sam Blease slightly quicker that lap than Simon Trendle, but a lot of that would have been toe.
Johnny's sending it out the inside, but I think that it's going to sacrifice his exit because Jamie's having none of it. He's just, I'm fine with you sending it there. I'm just going to keep it and keep it on the apex. Gonna get my exit speed in the correct manner I wanted to, so you have no chance of cutting back to the inside.
Yeah, but look at the gap that's creating to the front too.
Sam is looking in his mirror and he's all giggling. He's giggling like a girl.
Oh, without a doubt, yes.
And we all know that Sam, deep inside, is kind of a girl.
Yeah.
Oh, and Jamie went a little bit wide, which gives Johnny the opportunity to get next to him. But now you got to get to the right-hander. And now Jamie's on the preferable line, but is Johnny gonna be able to make a really good cutback to the right-hand side? I think Jamie's gonna close the door to the left. Oh, he leaves it open though, and that surprises me. He's side by side, and he's still there. And now he's gotta consolidate from that.
Yeah, done deal.
Maybe he just didn't have the grip to get back to the left side. I feel like he could have defended harder there.
Yeah. Although, could it be in that situation where you see those front two driving away? Is it sometimes better to give up that position, tuck behind, and see if Johnny Brandon can at least drag him back up to Sam Blease?
Maybe, but then again, it's your teammate fighting for the championship, and he's on the back foot at the moment. So every point you can give him, and you know you're is third in the championship. Sam is not in the championship, so he's gonna be third anyway, because he got no contention from the guys behind him.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just we've seen mistakes in this championship. We've seen cars coming together. Do you really fancy defending for 15 minutes? I don't. I don't know. It's very difficult. You know, we've seen, although Simon Trendle is leading this race and looking very good for it, I don't think the Chimera boys have been as quick as they normally are. So,
well, you say that, Clyde, but Simon did the fastest lap overall at the moment, and his fastest lap is quicker than Johnny's qualifying lap.
Yeah, in clear air, but in traffic he had nothing.
Remember, like, people all, like, a lot of drivers tell us, like, oh, the draft is not that big and stuff like that, and I keep mentioning the draft isn't really severe, but it's there, and it's still gonna give you some aero wash, and the fact that Simon is able to do these lap times proves that point.
This battle is still going on.
It looks like, again, it looks like JB has the raw pace, and I think he's just been unlucky on that first corner by getting that small nudge of Stefan. And if you get that small nudge and your car goes sideways, it's a touring car-ish car, which, if that happens, your tires are overheated for the next 4 or 5 corners. You're still able to get to the corners, but you're gonna sacrifice through them. And I think that's just an example of what happened.
Yeah, and obviously going sideways gives you no forward momentum. We know that this car is all about the momentum.
There is that. Yeah, you're completely right, Clive.
Let's go back to this, because that battle seems to have sorted itself out, whereas Johnny Brandon seems to be reeling in Sam Blease, and Jamie Wilson there sat in fourth is going to hope that that will drag him back into it. Simon Trendle in first. He's going to hope that all three of them go side by side and he disappears into the distance.
Well, he's already disappearing into the distance. He's almost 3 seconds ahead of those guys.
Which is massive, isn't it, in this car?
Yeah, I don't see... if Simon doesn't make a mistake, and sorry for Simon, we're not gonna give you any airtime because you're just driving away with it, and that's a really good job you're doing right there. and the battle which is on is this battle for second position, and the battle for fifth and sixth position between JB and Wayne.
Well, Sam Blees and Johnny Brandon, there was 1,000th of a second between them on the last lap.
Yeah, they are. Johnny seen this peaches and corn back for 20 minutes, and now he's right behind him. Peas and corn, sorry, and now he's right behind him again.
Yeah, I can't remember what Pete called it. I think Pete thought it was, I don't know, apples and lemons or something. But you know, that is Pete.
Yeah.
So let's take this opportunity to do a lap on board with Johnny Brandon as he tries to close in on Sam Pease.
Sam Pease. Yeah, so Sam Pease, he missed that apex right there. He's still looking for it. I think Johnny just picked it up because it's missing.
Apexes are overrated.
You don't need apexes at all. It's just a myth.
He's trying to lull him into a mistake. That's what he's doing.
That's what he's doing. Yeah. Follow my apex. That's the one you need to follow. You see, Johnny's being a little bit sharper on that first corner, just cutting it all the way to the left. And there's a way to the shifting as well. I think, if I remember correctly, you got to shift to 6,800 or something instead of just reffing it completely.
Yeah, it's a bit earlier than you would normally think, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't know this, and then Spencer McCarthy mentioned something like he keened it out, like, oh yeah, you got to shift at that. Are you not doing that? Like, yeah, well, no. And then it suddenly came like 3/10 quicker per lap, and it seems like Sam's a little bit wide, but he's taking a different approach to that corner where you see Johnny is keeping it close to the curb, and Sam is trying to get the extra speed on a small straight. Oh,
yeah,
it's so super close.
I do like this camera angle. Although we have seen in the previous race, we did see inside Johnny's car.
Yeah, so, I used to like Renault, but now I don't have. I have a new car. Now I have a Mazda, so now I like the Mazda. No, I don't like this side anymore.
Oh, you must be turning into Pete.
Oh, mate, I gotta love the new car.
Pete likes Mazdas.
Yeah, I got the Mazda 3, I know. Because I stood on the wrong side of the car once, because I thought that was the passenger side.
But this, obviously, this was the same battle in race 1, but it was for first position. This time it is for second position, because Simon Trendle is still 3 seconds up the road. Jamie Wilson dropping off of this battle now.
I still think it's really cool to see how you can be within, like, let's say a 10th of a lap, where there's such a different approach of how you take the corners. You see, we're on the back bumper of Sam. We were on the back bumper of Sam, and you see that in the first corner, Johnny's cutting it close. He's going wide, but the gap remains the same. Although they're taking completely different approaches about the track. Yeah,
we may see that from the nose camera on Johnny's car.
You see, okay, well, he's now just pausing the issue, so he's going a little bit wider and trying to get the cutback. But especially in the first sector, like the first 3-4 corners, it's a complete shift. You see, this is Johnny taking it shorter, shallower than Sam. And again here, he's taking it shallower again. And but Sam, and now Johnny's running wide. Sam is getting the car close on the right hand side, and doing that he's gonna get a better exit. You see, he's slightly pulling away, and now the difference is the exact same amount we saw when entering turn 13.
Yeah, and both drivers taking different lines, but ultimately ending up with the same result.
Now Sam did cut it close, but you see Johnny going wide, and he's doing this every lap. He's going all the way to the left, and now he sees Sam doing it as well. He didn't do that last lap, so that's quite funny. Maybe he's looking in his mirror, it's like, oh, Johnny's going wide. Maybe I can get a 10 right there. I love that. I love that about racing. I love that in racing about general. If it's either on the sim or in real life, like in every track, there's ways to go through it as quick as possible, but like every turn can be completely different, and you still not end up within a thousandth of a second.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And there's certain turns on tracks as well, isn't there, that do that to you? There's 73 ways of taking turn one at Daytona Road, but all of them can be as quick as each other. It's great. But this battle is really getting hot now. Johnny must be very, very sick of looking at peas and sweet corn.
He's very interested, but does he have it in himself to get past him? Because he's been doing that the first race as well, and we saw that Sam was doing an amazing job on driving slightly more defensive lines, but still being able to keep up the exit speed and in the middle of the apex as well.
Yeah, and they're only going to get, I think, this lap and one more for Johnny Brandon to try and get a pass done on Sam Pease for the first time tonight.
Yeah, and Sam knows where Johnny's gonna look for, because he handed out his cards at the end of race 1. Like, I'm gonna try it on turn 10, I'm gonna try it on the last corner, and that's it. He's gotta pull something magical out of his deck to get past him, I think.
Yeah, he's and Sam Blease is not a mistake-free driver, but
no.
So far tonight he hasn't really put a foot wrong, has he? And that really hasn't helped Johnny's cause.
No, I think that the way you describe, he's not a mistake-free driver. He's a very, very capable driver. I mean, I raced against him with similar pace. The current TCR Bob, I think that I'm slightly quicker, but it doesn't exclude the fact that he's really, really good at the moment, and especially last season where he reeled in the TCR season, becoming champion again. I think like the third time in a row-ish. That says about how his consistency is in league racing, and the league racing we're seeing right now is one of the prime examples of what he's capable of.
Yeah, white flag was waving that time by. I think Johnny may have given up the ghost.
Yeah, it looks like again, it looks like he has a slowdown, but he doesn't, because it's like a second, maybe he slowed down. Wait.
Yeah, so here is your race leader, and by quite a distance.
I think he had a slight slowdown.
Yeah, I've got no off tracks, no anything.
No.
So.
No, but it was a slowdown, I think, because he has a slowdown on the inside of turn 12, and he cut it quite severely. And once he cut that, he just left the throttle and just fell off.
Okay, not many turns left now for Simon Trendle.
And Stefan Goebel is still now hunting for JB. He's within a second, and he's trying to get there. He's trying to force the issue and just hoping that JB is gonna be crumbling under the pressure. Although it's within like 0.7 seconds, there's still that pressure. You look in your mirror, you see that guy behind you, like, oh, he's been catching me all race long, and you gotta keep your focus.
You certainly have, but Simon Trendle is going to take away the win in round 16 with Sam Blease in second and Johnny Brandon in third. Let's just go back to this.
Is Stefan going to be able to do this one? And it looks like he's not going to be able to.
No, and I was going to say, JB, again, this is what I normally say, this is going to sound horrible, but hear me out. JB used to be a driver that you could pressure into a mistake. He's not anymore. He races his race, and he doesn't worry about what's going on behind him, what's going on in front of him. That, oh no, somebody's behind me, oh, I've thrown it off the track, doesn't tend to happen these days.
No, he has improved massively since you guys recruited him to BSTV. I think that You know, you gotta keep, and that's again, this is gonna sound horrible, but again, the guy isn't 30 anymore. He is 50 or 60 plus, and being able to drive at this level and still being super critical at himself, which he stops. He needs to stop doing that, by the way. Looking at it, he's looking at his own race like, I did this wrong, I did that wrong, I gotta improve on that, I gotta be better at this thing. But although he's really critical, he's also looking at how can I improve. And all the seasons we've seen him driving, I think that's like season 5 now already, season 6 when he joined us. And he took so much steps, mate. He's killing it at the officials and the American softs. He is definitely one of the quickest there.
Yeah, for me, there's two types of drivers. Most drivers will make mistakes, but when a driver makes a mistake, he either puts his hands up, looks at it, and goes, right, what could I do different in that situation next time? Or you've got the other end of the spectrum with the drivers that it wasn't their fault, it was somebody else's fault, it was everybody else's fault, and I will do exactly the same as I did next time, and it will be the same outcome. But luckily, JB is the former and not the latter. Where is Mr. Toon? He is there. Oh, he has actually finished, but I don't think I can get the result up, but I'm going to try anyway. Oh, yes, I can. So, Simon Trendle for Team Chimera takes away our reverse grid win, round 16. Sam Blees was second for Bumfluff Racing. Third was Johnny Brandon for XVR. Fourth was Jamie Wilson for Team Chimera. Wayne Sanderson was fifth for XVR Oz. BSTV Esports JB Dejoux in 6th, Stefan Goebel VTS Esports in 7th, BSTV Esports Rob Venn in 8th, with Privateer Alan Toon in 9th, and Adam Wright, who got nowhere near the finishing line, was classified 10th for BSTV Esports 2. So, an evening of action, shall we say. A win for Sam Blees, a win for Simon Trendle. No wins for Johnny Brandon, but a second and a third, so he's still getting big points. Classic Rudskogen!
Rudskogen Motor Center!
I must admit, I really enjoy the races at this track, and these drivers haven't disappointed us again tonight, have they, Wobbly?
No, definitely not. I think that the field was a little bit divided between the top 4, top 3-ish, and the cars behind that. I do think that the track lends itself for good racing. Preferably, I would have seen like 15, 16, 17 cars on track. But in the end, we definitely saw a close battle for the first race. We saw a close battle for the first position and for the second position. And for the second race, we saw a close battle for the second position. But also, we saw a good opening lap where there were like 17,000 wide through the first 3 corners. With a small touch with JB getting the worst of it. But also Stefan also trying to get through Wayne Sanderson. If he hadn't made that mistake, what could have been? You know, it looked like he was off the pace of Johnny, Sam and Simon, but he was still on the pace compared to the others. Lovely racing, lovely driving.
Exactly. Okay.
I'm sad that I'm not going to be there next week.
Yeah, well, let's get our race 1 winner in.
Different lines.
Gotcha.
Different lines.
Different lines. So we now know the secret. Sam Blees, welcome to the booth.
Hello.
Hello, and congratulations on your win in race 1. Very hard fought. Johnny Brandon breathing down the back of your neck. You know, there's a lot of people out there that have had that experience. But for, you know, the majority of the race, he's not a difficult driver he's not an easy driver to keep behind you. But you managed to do it. How did you do it?
Yeah, he made me work for it for sure. It's a very difficult track to pass on. So I don't know how I got ahead really. I don't know if he felt he forced me off and gave me the place, or if he just got distracted and drove onto the grass at the start. I don't know why that happened. But I knew from there that if I stayed clean and didn't make any mistakes, I had a good chance, because it is really tough to pass. So I just sort of did that. I think he was definitely a little bit quicker in that first race, and in fact in the second race as well. But yeah, just kept it clean, safe, stayed on the track, brought it home.
Exactly, and that's what you need to do. And like you touched on there, after we had 17,000 wide on lap 1 and everything shook out in race 2, lo and behold, Johnny Brandon's behind you again.
Yes.
And there was a bit of a gap, first to second, second to third, third to fourth. But do you feel that? Are you watching your relative? Are you feeling the pressure when any driver, not just Johnny, were you seeing that gap come down, or are you still concentrating on your own race and going to yourself, you know, in the back of my mind, I held him up for 15 minutes in race 1. I can do it for 12 minutes in race 2.
I mean, in an ideal world, what you describe is absolutely what you do. Eyes forward, ignore it. I know I can, you know, I've proven I can do it, so let's carry on. That's not really how it worked for me. I was just hanging on, and then I made a bit of a mistake, and I had my only slowdown in that race, so I was a bit more on edge because of that. And then he was coming, and he was closing down, and yeah, you know, it worked out in the end. But yeah, there is definitely an added bit of pressure there when, I think more than just he's there, but when he's closed you down to get there, or whoever has closed you down to get there.
Yeah.
You know, not just they're behind me and they're catching, or they're on the same pace. You know that they've also got a bit of extra pace and potential, and that adds an element to it for sure. But yeah, it was you know, again, it worked out okay. It's a shame I got that slowdown, because I think possibly there was a brief phase where I had a little bit of pace on Simon, and I was a bit quicker in some parts and slower in others, so there might have been a chance to try and force something. But then I had that slowdown, and it was just too big a gap to do anything about. So
yeah.
I mean,
Go on.
I was just gonna say, first and second still a good result, and I don't drive the car at all really, other than for the league. So I just rocked up tonight, did a few laps, and yeah, I was pleased with the pace and pleased with where it ended up, and yeah, good night of racing.
It certainly was. We've obviously, because of your pate, we've renamed you Sam Pease. Any
That's
news?
a good one. I like that.
Any news on Spencer Sweetcorn making another appearance?
I think the league will be over before he's back from holiday.
Oh, that's a bugger.
You know, him and his jet set lifestyle.
Well, there is that, yeah. We'll have to get him signed up for season 2. But yeah, some cracking results for you tonight, and some great racing as well. Any shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Just thanks to everyone, Johnny and Simon in particular, for good racing, and the start of race 2 was mad, so thanks everyone for not turning that into the absolute mess it really could have been. And you guys, as always, for hosting and giving us something to do on a Friday night.
Excellent. Well, like I say, congratulations on your win. Congratulations on 2 podiums. Sam, please.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Regular Sam.
Okay, so next up for you, Wobbly, let's bring in, I think he finished somewhere in race 1. I don't know where, didn't really see much of him. But won race 2, Simon Trendle.
Didn't see much of both races, did you? Because I wasn't really doing much.
Mr. Simon Trendle. Oh man, it looked like, especially the first race, you were a little bit off pace. What's going on there?
It's my old age. I had my birthday yesterday, so I've just lost it.
Oh, how was the pain? Which age did you?
Oh, 34.
Oh, 34, mate. Oh, I'm almost
Just a
35, so.
spring chicken.
No, I don't have any excuse if you beat me again. So shit. Well, it looked like you were. I mentioned this to Clyde. Like I said in qualifying, like it looks like Simon is off the pace. And did you practice or did you? What was going on?
Did I practice? No, I didn't practice. What are you on about? It's the Clios who don't do practice. It's punishable by death. No, this track doesn't click with me. It didn't click with me in the V8s. I'm going to be careful saying too much of that because otherwise it will just be a 12 weeks of V8s for around here and Bathurst probably because that's where I struggle as well.
That's it. Keep them coming.
Yeah, keep going.
Oh, tracks I love. Sorry, I mean Donington. That's a great track.
Darlington is shit, but it's fine.
Yeah, and then I got to slow down, and that dropped me off the back end. So without the toe, I could just about keep up, but that was about it. And I was just making too many mistakes, and I'm pretty sure I was scrubbing the tyres. So race 2, I winged it and changed some settings in the setup, and it was a bit better. And that was enough, I think. And then
But there are like
Sam
3
slowed
things you
down.
can change, so maybe you want to enlighten us on what you change.
Oh, I changed the rear ride height. There you go.
Oh, no, there you go. For everybody else listening,
Well, as far
change
as
the rear highlight.
I've been told by Jamie that he's been running max rear ride height the whole time, so he's been keeping that from me.
That's a good team member.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Clyde were discussing because Johnny was behind Jamie quite a while, and I told Clyde like, I think that Simon's gonna be screaming like, defend like a lion, be like Esteban Ocon and just leave him past, like within the first corner he's able to attack. Did you feel any pressure from him behind you, like because you were massively quick in the second race?
I was alright once Sam got his slowdown, but to be honest, Jamie was about 5 laps into his defensive lioning. It's like, you're welcome. I was like, I don't really care. Do what you want. I'm here for fun. If he wants to catch up to me and we have a good fight, that's it. But you've got to get through Sam first. So, yeah, I wasn't too worried about that one.
So how did you enjoy the track? Because we saw a lot of different lines, especially for turn 3 and 4, like the sweeping right-hander going uphill towards the hair grip. Thank you, Clyde. Through the hair grip. Were you one of those? I want to approach this in the shadow line, or did you try to get the best exit towards turn 5?
The S's, I was sweeping it out right as far as right to try and shadow straight line the chicanes as much as possible, and hold it in 3rd gear, even though it does go over the ideal shift point, just because you're not flat out. So what's the point? Yeah, that's where I got my slowdown in the first race. Was up there, so I just trying not to take too much of the curb, and I found it just in the race, not the practice, which is very annoying.
So one question it still remains. Do you think you can beat Johnny in the championship?
No.
Oh,
There you go.
fair enough.
That's a really easy question.
That's an easy answer. I guess that's an honest answer. Oh wow! Congratulations on your win in the second race and 4th position in the third race. We should do a 3rd race next time. Anyway, congratulations on your 4th position in the first race. Is there anyone you want to thank or give a shout out to?
Yeah, thanks to Sam for sending Johnny back in a position, which doesn't help in the championship at all, but makes me feel better. Yeah, and everyone who's turned up, and you guys for the broadcast.
And not wobbling.
And not wobbling.
Thank you. Okay, see you next week, mate. Oh well, next week. No, I'm not here next week.
Oh, even better.
Oh, it's
I'll
lovely.
see Clyde next week, though.
It's gonna be Pete.
I'll
That's
be
still better.
here. Right, I binned him. So let's bring in Mr. Free Food, Johnny Brandon. Welcome to the booth.
It's Mr. Panini now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, it might not be anymore. Do you like peas and sweet corn?
No, yeah, exactly. Not anymore, I don't. I'm sick of them.
So, race 1, I actually think both races were corkers, but race 1, very interesting battle with you and Sam. We went back and had a look at your off track, and it was Wobbly seems to think maybe you had a screen freeze. I seem to think you was texting somebody, but your car just drifted off to the left, and then you realised what was going on and came back. But by then you'd lost the momentum, and Sam had got past.
One of you is correct, and it saddens me.
Oh,
One of you is correct.
not me then.
It is you, Clyde.
Oh, get in!
I was on the phone, looking at the phone, talking I was like, oh, I'm on the grass. What the?
Excellent.
Yeah, bit of a rookie mistake, but turned out for the best because then it was just crazy trying to get past Sam. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
And,
it was very difficult.
Nearly got it at the end.
Yeah, we see you. I can't remember the turns, but there was one particular place on the track after that.
The right hand hairpin
that
at the bottom
long
of the hill.
right hander, and then up through the hair grip, as we called it. You seem to be able to carry a lot more pace, and we see you try and get on the inside of him a couple of times. I
think he was running just a bit wide there, more than me trying to get inside there.
Yeah, well, I think we was on board with Sam, or looking back at you, and we was inside your engine at one point. But you sort of gave it everything, didn't you? But came up short in the end.
Yep, that's it. And at the final corner, the whole race he was leaving that door slightly open, but then shutting it quite aggressively. So I never went for it. And that last lap, I was like, right, I'm going for it. And I sort of half-heartedly went for it, expecting him to slam the door shut and not wanting to take him out. And he actually saw me and left it open enough. I was like, oh, I should have gone a bit more. I should have actually properly gone in there.
We did see you back out of that a little bit.
But a little bit too cautious. But it still made it good to watch. It was good fun to do.
Yeah. And then, obviously, race 2. You had another moment all on your own, just losing the back of the car.
Yeah, that one was Wobbly's fault.
Or definitely. It's always my fault. It's fine.
That sent you back down to about 9th, I think. But luckily, it was right at the start of the race, and the whole pack is still together. Which I looked down and see you in 9th and thought, oh, he's got some work to do. And then I looked up again about a lap later, and you was 4th.
Yeah, and I had steering damage. I was lucky not to get a black and orange, like my steering wheel was at sort of between 10 and 11 o'clock in a straight line. So it was terrible on right-handers, but it was rapid around the lefts.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do from here? So oh, hold on a minute, I'm still doing 33s. And then when I got in Sam's toe, it was even better. I was doing low 33s, but it was the right-handers it's so easy to overcook it. I had to be so careful because it just did not want to turn right. So I sort of had to change the way I was driving a little bit and managed to just cling on, but I was never going to get past them.
Yeah, and it seems maybe the last lap, did you give up trying to get past him? Had you cooked your tyres?
I got a slowdown.
Ah, right, okay, that explains it.
Through one of the, can't remember what corner, but yeah, I got a slowdown on the previous lap.
But weird after, I'm not gonna. It wasn't carnage because everybody did really well, even though we was 17,000 wide. Weird how you have those nights where you always end up behind the same driver with the same outcome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite pleased I was behind him. As long as it doesn't keep happening, yeah, it'll be fine. But I'm quite pleased I was tonight because race 1, we've spoken about this. It's boring if you're just disappearing off into the distance. If you got a good battle like that was much more fun. I didn't win it, but I give it a bloody good go. Well done to Sam because that was proper defensive driving he was doing there. And then race 2, if he wasn't in front of me with the damage I had, he was pulling me along, so it done me a favour. So yeah, it was good. As long as it doesn't keep happening, like I say, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Was there any food on this one tonight?
No food.
Have you dipped out on anything by not winning?
No, I wouldn't have won anything anyway, would I? But yeah.
Oh well, that's a shame.
However, my dinner is in the oven, so
there you go.
It's kind of good.
Anything good?
I don't even know because, fortunately for me, my lovely lady is cooking it, so I will eat what I'm given.
You can't beat a surprise dinner.
Indeed.
So, on that note, we better let you disappear and eat said dinner. Any shout-outs you want to give?
The normal people, you guys for doing the broadcast and putting this on. You know, it is great fun. Everybody else that turns up to the league, I mean, other people should do it because it really is a ride and drive. Like, you do half a dozen laps in practice and you're on the pace. It's a very straightforward car, and I am literally using the baseline setup, and I have done at every single circuit. So it really is as straightforward as it gets on iRacing. So get involved, you know, let's get some numbers up because it is great fun. So thanks to everyone that does turn up. Well done to Sam. Thanks to Wayne for coming along, my teammate. And yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Well, always a pleasure. Johnny Brandon.
Good night.
Okay, last up for you then, Mr. Wobbles, is Jamie Wilson.
Jamie, welcome, mate.
Evening.
So, third position. Oh no, fourth position in the second race, and third position in the first race. Am I correct? I'm correct. So,
I thought it was fourth
correct?
and fourth.
No, it was first. Oh well, maybe I'm wrong. So first race, mate. Talk us through it because it seemed that. Oh yeah, you fourth in first race. You're correct. It seemed like you have had a little bit of. Normally you're on a pace with Simon and Johnny. Well, Sam turned up out of the blue, but it seemed to be that you were on the pace. But it almost looked like you were a little bit slower today. What happened?
Well, yeah, that's me. Yeah, no, I only had about 10 minutes before the quali session to jump in the car quickly, so I don't, we don't practice this, but I especially didn't practice this one, so I was delayed on the way in when the session launched. So yeah, and it's obviously a very technical track. This, yeah, I just struggled, and I think I haven't heard what Simon said, but he was saying to me in the chat anyway during the race that we were just sort of murdering the tyres a bit. It just sort of lost its edge, and I suffered with that, I think, more than he did. So I was all right for the first couple of laps, and then after that, the pace just tailed off. I couldn't really do much about it.
I want to gloat here, Clyde, because that's what I said.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
So we started the session with me telling that you're gonna murder your tires in turn 3 and 4 if you're not approaching the corner correctly. Because I had it as well. But yeah, so I'm happy that someone acknowledges that. Let's talk about the second race, because it looked like you had a blast with defending Johnny. And me and Clyde said like, oh, Simon's gonna be telling Jamie like, oh mate, defend like a lion, keep him behind you. and then Simon came in the chat like, yeah, well, I don't care.
Yeah, that's what I did say to him halfway through that, you're welcome, when Johnny was still behind me. He said, I don't care, whatever. So yeah, it is consistent. Yeah, that was our sort of Alonso Ocon moment from a few seasons ago. But
yeah, that's what I was referring
yeah,
to.
I tried. He had such a pace advantage over me that as the race went on, it was just going to get worse anyway. So I fought it to a point, but then at the point at which I sort of didn't close the door quickly enough, I was like, I can't really close it now. And at that point, I was just screwed. So yeah, I tried to keep up for a little bit, but then yeah, I don't know if I was doing anything in particular wrong. It was just I was just ever so slightly off the pace everywhere, really. Turn 3, turn 4 was probably the culprit for most. I actually really enjoyed that corner because you have to be Fred Astaire going on there on the pedals. You're all over the place on the brakes, so balancing the thing sideways, which is bloody good fun. So. Yeah, this track was always going to be a 50-50 for me in terms of how well it would race with these. Because we've had V8 and TCR races around here, and both of them have been a bit sort of off. Not quite processional, but just difficult. You need to have quite a big pace advantage to pass someone, which Johnny did on me. So I think if we had a larger field, then this would have been even more exciting. I think my driver of the day nomination, not that I get one, is Sam for existing, for making both races something exciting battle-wise. Because I think without him involved, I think it might have strung out.
So yeah, one of those things. It was worth a go round here. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest of what else was going on. Maybe it was more exciting than I'm making out. But I was just stuck in no man's land, basically.
I do think that Sam was the cork in the bottle this week, this race, and I think that you're completely right on how you are. I like right on stream. You saw the overtake from Johnny on you, and I instantly said, "Oh, why didn't he close the door on turn 11/12?" But you're telling us that. Well, I don't really know if I could have done it.
Yeah, I thought he might try and do a switchback and be on my right-hand side there for some reason, which in hindsight is stupid because no, of course he wouldn't. But I don't know why I was thinking that. But so I was hugging the corner tight, and so I didn't track out on the exit as much as I probably should have done. If I'd done that, that would have forced him to the right. I should have done that, but it's such a split-second thing that by the time you've realised that it was too late a second ago.
Okay, so you're not Max Verstappen.
No, and I say that with some pride.
Yeah, good enough, mate. So, at least you enjoyed your racing. I hope you're going to turn up next week because Pete is going to be in the booth.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be great. Clyde and Pete, like the old combo.
Pete will be totally confused next week because it's not kill reverse. He can't get it right the correct way round, so...
No, he's done not kill reverse a lot. It's just he was doing it when we were doing it.
He was doing it in reverse, so he kept on going the right way.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that because I've never driven. Well, I've driven it once when the track came out just to see how bizarre it was, but I haven't driven it since. So, and I really like knock kills. It's It's in the top 3 of my favourite tracks ever. So, I'm looking forward to how that goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and be in. Well, not in the booth, but I'm gonna try and watch it and then. From friends with a bucket in my hand, you know, that's one bucket in my right hand and beer in my left hand. Basically, what I'm doing right now. Anyone you want to thank, Jamie, or give a shout out to?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for the broadcast, not wobbly, and yeah, everyone that turns up. This is a small field at the moment, which is a bit of a shame, but I just caught the end of Johnny's interview. About there's no real barrier of entry into this, other than obviously to own the Clio. That's about it, really. It's very accessible, so I'm hoping that moving forward we can coax a few more in, maybe from the other disciplines in the BSTV community, and if not else, then elsewhere. Because I think this track in particular is a good example of one that just needs more cars. For it to really show its potential. It's a bit like the Hungaro ring or something in F1 years ago, where it was always rubbish, and then they changed the cars, and it was much better. We just need more people. So it would appeal to anyone watching that's not doing this. Sign up next season.
Yes, that's a good lap, mate. So sign up to the season. We're looking forward to everyone who wants to drive. We're not going to be too harsh on anyone, besides from Scott Malcolm, because he's a fucking prick. But everybody else is just a nice guy. Thank you, Jamie, for having you.
I don't know what to say to that. So,
thanks, mate.
See you later.
Right, on a brighter note, some fantastic racing tonight, as usual, in this league. I think what everybody said as well, we certainly do need more drivers, and we will do everything that we can to make that happen. But some great interviews tonight as well. I do enjoy listening to what the drivers have to say at the end and how their races went and things that we missed. So yeah, very good. But it is time for the most coveted award in motorsports. It is Driver of the Season, which, as we usually say, starts off with Driver of the Meeting. I've got a number of contenders tonight, Wobbly, so I'm going to let you go first, because at least you can get rid of one of my contenders for me.
Yeah, I think that one of your contenders is Sam Blease. I'm not gonna I know you don't vote for winners, but I'm sure you're gonna one on your short list is Sam Blees, and I'm going for Sam Blees. He made the racing interesting. He made it fun. He did a really good job holding off Johnny twice. Yeah, there's no discussing about it. He did an amazing job. So my vote is for Sam Blees.
Well, Sam was most definitely on my. I was going to say short list, but it was quite a long list, to be honest. JB Dejoux, I think, raced really, really well tonight. Obviously, I can't vote for Sam. A, Wobbly's already voted for him, and B, he won a race, which also takes Simon Trendle out of it. Jamie Wilson, I love watching Jamie race. I love Jamie as a person as well. He's always very, very honest, a very, very good driver, and what a lot of people probably don't know, does a lot of stuff for BSTV in the background, and probably doesn't get the credit he deserves. Not that I'm going to give him any credit for it anyway, but that's just me. But I always vote on drivers that get 2 decent results. So my vote is going to go to Johnny Brandon because he had 2 very good results tonight. He didn't win, so that didn't take him out of my reckoning. And I think he, even though this is a fun league and nobody practices and it's a ride and drive and things like that, he could have caused a number of accidents tonight, but didn't. And pushed Sam Blees all the way in both races, and we know what a good driver Sam Blees is. So, my vote is going to go to Johnny Brandon, and that's probably the only vote he's ever had from me, but we'll have to wait and see. But that's it for tonight, Wobbly. Rounds 15 and 16 over. As we said before, we are back next week, and it is Knock Hill, and it is the reverse circuit, which I totally agree with Jamie. I am really, really looking forward to that. I think it could be hilarious. Drivers go to Knock Hill, and they've got some muscle memory of racing there before, and everything has changed. So really, really looking forward to that. Wobbly, can you sum up what we've seen tonight before we close?
We've seen an amazing race in the first race where we saw a great start from all cars next to each other, side-by-side action for the first 3 laps, which was really good to see. And then Simon fell off the pack, and Johnny and Sam had a really good battle the first race, where Johnny tried to send it at the end of the first race, and almost got it done, which ended up to a draft fest, a drag race, right to the line. And then the second race, we went 16,000 wide, as we mentioned. We saw Johnny getting past eventually. Oh, let's start with JB getting a small hit from Stefan, which caused him to fall back quite severely to 6th position. And Stefan as well, I think he held back a little bit to get behind JB, so that's good on him. And then we saw a battle between Jamie and Johnny. Johnny finally got past him, as Jamie mentioned through the interview. Tried to get back at Sam, and Simon just blew away with it. I think overall, top 4 runners, Jamie, Simon, Johnny, and Sam did a really good job and kept the broadcasting really interesting to watch. I'm sad I'm not gonna be here for the Knocker reverse because I've never driven it, but I heard from Gary that it's an amazing drive. Like the first sector is flat out. Yeah, that's gonna be amazing. People are gonna get confused, and I love people getting confused.
Yeah, and maybe if Pete's back, because he's normally confused, maybe that'll make him unconfused and he'll win a race. We'll have to wait and see, and the folks at home will have to tune in to wait and see. So, time to close the broadcast. So, thanks to Wobbly for joining me in the booth and for joining me for most of the season. He is going to miss the last 2 races of this season. Big thanks to the drivers that continue to show up and put on this absolutely fantastic racing. As I said, we will be doing everything we can in the background to grow this series because we think it's got a lot of potential. Big thanks also to everybody that joins in on the chat. Always appreciative of that, because if we don't get any viewers, then there's no point doing it. So yeah, big thanks to everybody on the chat. So it's time to close. I should say goodnight. Let Wobbly say goodnight, and then we shall disappear. So good night, everybody. Thanks for watching, and stay safe.
Thanks everybody for watching. If you haven't, so subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're watching, give us a like. I see a couple of people just watching and they don't give a like. I mean, I'm a sucker for likes. Just give the like. And especially, as Clyde mentioned, sign up for the next season. It's an Arrive and Drive series. We have fun. We bash on people, but it's all love. We want to see you on track. That's what we are here for. Have a good one.